Hola, buenos días. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos esta mañana en nuestro segundo Tech Talk, en el cual estaremos abordando el tema de demostración del uso de la tecnología remota y dispositivos móviles para la integración en sus procesos. Esperamos que todos se encuentren bien, seguros y sanos en casa. Y el día de hoy nos acompañará a dar el tema Brad McDonald, quien es el especialista para este tema, al cual le voy a ceder la palabra. Hello, Brad. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're glad that you join us for this theme. So let's start, please.
Okay, buenos días. Lo siento, yo hablo en inglés. We're going to talk today about smart client, mobility, and remote operations. In that presentation, we'll go through two demos of the smart client and remote operations, which to demonstrate our great offering that ABB has to support your times of trouble. But before we start, we want to talk about Momento seguridad, about the coronavirus. Wash your hands. I think it's lavas sus manos. 20 seconds is what is taken to do that. And please make sure you wash your hands when you leave the house, when you come back in the house, or you pick anything up that you believe has not been cleaned. My name is Brad McDonald. I've been working for ABB for over 32 years. I started with the Bailey controls and worked over 20 years in engineering, hardware, and commissioning. Worked a lot in Chile, where I learned some Spanish, doing some of their copper mining projects down there. Then about 15 years ago, I became a project manager. And then about 12 years ago, I switched over to marketing. So in the marketing role, I present 800XA technology, field buses, and work on the new Select IO product, which I was part of the global release team. As well, my home passion is I love technology and I love home automation. So let's move on. In today's difficult times that we have out there, that we need to think of new ways to do and operate our plants. So operating remotely is really important. How do we connect? How do we view? Sometimes view only for managers, but also how do we control by a secure and protected way? Wherever we are, can we do that connection so that we can have people, not just your plant people, but also the ABB experts to help you connect? Then when things do a bump in the night, as they say, that you can connect your own maintenance people, but as well as ABB experts to connect and hopefully diagnose. There was a tech talk last week called Remote Insight. It's an excellent tool for remote two-way communication for diagnosing problems with our system. And finally, it's important to have this collaboration. We can now, with technology, bring more people to look at data of your plant and help you optimize, operate it, and maintain its operation, especially when now we have the coronavirus. So let's remember to continue our social distancing and work from home. And this whole mobility presentation is part of that support of how you can do things remotely from home. So we have a scenario, most of you may be connected. If not, you may want to get connected, provided to your plant intranet or extranet, and get outside through VPNs and have that remote access. And we'll talk about ways to do that. And with an ABB technology, you can take it to the point where you can actually have video conferencing, video of your plant, connection to remote sites of your various organizations, and bring that all into a collaboration center where you can have your experts, especially when you have more than one plant, operating, bring all your experts operating from home or your operation center. So Smart Client is one of the ways to bring people connected to your plant. I think the biggest feature of this Smart Client product is that it's a thin client to 800XA. Means you don't have to install any software. You get access to the graphics. You get access to the historical data for trending and reporting. You can do some statistical process control. You can even do alarm analysis as well. Another great feature is the Excel connectivity. And more importantly, no client install. You simply have the Smart Client server set up, and then you're operational. Users can come in and connect on your plant LAN or connect remotely through your VPN of your company LAN to get access to your Smart Client. And the key thing about Smart Client, read only. So there's no control, just read only view of your process. So in the traditional 800XA architecture, Smart Client is added to that, but as a layer, as you can see, in a firewalled connection. So it can be on your plant network. The server sits on the plant network, and it has a special connection into your 800XA and allow all your Smart Client users to only see the Smart Client server and the Smart Client read-only data. So to get more into detail of that, you have your 800XA system, you have it running, you have a data collector, be it for your history, 800XA history or IM, but you put your Smart Client in the DMZ or on the other side of your firewall, and then the Smart Client users only talk to that Smart Client server. The Smart Client server will tunnel in securely and collect the real-time data, the historical data, as well as the graphics from the system.
Right. There is a question in the chat that they asking about how many thin clients could you connect to a server?
Great question. So how many thin clients? You know, we license well over 100. So it really becomes an issue of how powerful you make your server. If you're only doing 5 clients, you don't need a lot of power. But if you do have 100, you just make sure. But I have a customer that has over 100 users, and they don't have any problem with the system.
Perfect. Thank you.
So you know, the aspect of the first and the most beneficial thing that I think most people love about the Smart Client is the exact display you have on your 800XA is in Smart Client. If you update your display in 800XA, you get the updated display in Smart Client. So like other third-party solutions, you would have to have 2 graphic scenarios, and if you make a change, you got to make a change. Here, you make a change in your graphic or you add a new graphic, it's now instantly in Smart Client. And that Smart Client graphic of PG2 of your 800XA has access to all the navigation features of your graphic, button navigation, right mouse click. It sees the trends, you see the alarms, and you even get right mouse click on your graphic. As well, you can create your own desktop display. So if you want for more of the management kind of perspective, to see more KPI kind of related data, and we'll demonstrate that today, you can create your own kind of graphics using the very built-in toolbox with Smart Client to have stuff like ticker tapes, widgets, trends, bars, graphs that you can't even do in 800XA, but now you can do in Smart Client, and provide static and dynamic perspectives on that. In addition, because this Smart Client collects data from 800XA, you can also bring in web components into your your custom graphic and have, let's look at the price of oil. Let's look at other things that your organization may have the internet. You can drop that on a custom graphic. So it's very flexible. It's now bringing more than just 800XA into your world. And those kind of displays that you can get, as you can see here, dashboard dials that you're used to in a car, pie charts, stack charts, all kinds of things provide you the ability to create custom graphics beyond your PG2 graphics of 800XA. Trending is very important. It's there. You can make your own trend displays, but if 800XA has trends, they're available as well. And we'll go through how you can easily create your own trend display and even create one on the fly from a graphic. Reporting, I think, is something that people like about the system. You can create your own kind of Excel report. We added it to one site that a customer had 3 sites in close proximity, and in those 3 sites they had to manage the water resources. So we installed Smart Client, and the water resource manager immediately played with this without any training, and suddenly he was doing his water reports in Excel with Smart Client. And it allowed him to free up days of work that he used to do to now have a display or have an Excel report to do all the work, collecting data live as well as historical into his reports. I think the biggest thing most people will talk about when you install Smart Client in any plant is that suddenly the control room becomes empty, because everyone would come into the control room and look at the data to get data and then go back to their office. Now with Smart Client, you don't have to do that. It's sitting at their desk and they can look at it. So I'm going to go into the demo and we'll start that up. Okay, in full screen mode. So we have now here Smart Client. It is just a simple application that gets launched from a desktop, and we'll do that after I do the demo. But I wanted to illustrate the fact that we have 800XA here. You can see a trend with a display. I have graphical items, and that same item is on the Smart Client. And so if I switch to other graphics like the power area, I can see that the same graphics here, as they have lab data, they have also digester stuff, and then the cockpit graphic that they created. This is all the same graphics in 800XA. And if I were to make a change in this graphic, it would come up to the Smart Client. So it is the same. I'm just acknowledge some of these alarms to get rid of them. And now we'll go into more of a full screen of Smart Client so we can see that. So you can see Smart Client is organized in tab displays, and it's a very neat system to allow you to do that. And the concept of Smart Client is you have your 800XA system. It has the PG2 graphics. And in the Smart Client desktop, it connects to the server where you have your graphic panel stored and then pulls in the data from the appropriate part. And now that I have this graphic, what do I get to do with this graphic? Right mouse click on it. We can see that we have some aspects here. So I can go to the same right mouse click that you would have in your 800XA is available for graphic navigation, and there's a previous and next feature as well. If I click onto an actual dynamic value, I get to see that it automatically allows me to pull up trends and events, no configuration needed, automatically any live data on your graphic in 800XA gives you trends and events. Is everything, it gives you the references of 800XA of other graphics this may be on. And you can also bring up other documents as well. If I bring up the trend, it will now take that value and draw and put the trend. And you can see the default trend size is 1 hour. Now I can also grab a value and drag onto it more trended values here. I think I got to do this up here. There we go. I've got to drop it in the graphic window. So drop that up here. So now you can see I've dragged 3 items into this. Just like you can do in 800XA, you drag items into the system, and then you are now looking at the trend. I can, just like 800XA, go back and look at a day's worth of data. So I started this at around 7 o'clock this morning, and you can see some of the data that's there. And I can zoom in on this data various ways. The best way is holding my shift key. I pick this little stuff and I can just zoom in right into that area. And then holding my control key, I can go, oh, that's the 3 sets of data that I'm looking at. Very powerful. That data set, then I can start doing, statistical mode stuff. I can change the ranges and stuff. We'll go on to that later. And when I'm done, I can hit play, and now it's back to my place where I left it, and we'll give it back to 1 hour data. So it's very powerful, this kind of feature. Now we're going to go over to trends. So if you didn't want to create your own trends, you can, in Smart Client, you can build your own trends. You add your trends, just like tabs. You just simply right mouse click on here, and you can add a new trend and simply add a panel to it. And again, this trend is custom that you define how you want it to be made. And again, by using the shift key on your trend, you can pick what I want to zoom in to. Let's zoom in on that area and look at that data. This trend has a little more functionality than you're used to in 800XA. You can start looking at some really cool perspectives of it and looking at various perspectives. I think the biggest one, whoops, let's just go back. One of the most cool perspectives is you can see this color view. You can just see where the data is. But more importantly, this is the statistical process control charts. But now you have 2 pieces of data here. Maybe I want to look at various perspectives of the data, an X chart, an X sigma chart. I can do moving averages and all kinds of statistical process control automatically here at your fingertips to look at the normal distribution of the data. Let's look at the other point, see where it's normally distributed. You can see a lot more of it's around this area. So this is a great feature to suddenly look at your data and also do correlation of your data to see how it's correlated, if these 2 signals are correlated or not. So built in, right out of the box, you get this trend with some SPC. And you can have various types of trends doing various kind of things. You can also have 2 trends where you do the side-by-side of 2 different units kind of stuff, and then look at some more kind of data. This should be more correlated, so you should be able to get some more correlated data. You can see it's a straight line of correlation here, meaning that these data, so you can see it, but they both go up and down together. That means they're correlated, and you can therefore create an equation of how they're correlated out. Another interesting thing about this is the events that comes in with the system. So it will go and collect all your events, your alarm events, your process events, all kind of events. You can filter and query on what kind of events you want to look at. I'm just going to pull all the events in the last hour. And then you can start doing some really cool things. And you can now do an SPC, alarm analysis of the data. So it's going through all the alarms, and it's saying that the most offensive alarm coming in over 95 times is coming in on this point. And then you can see as they go down. So if you wanted to do your own alarm management, alarm kind of rationalization, you can do that. You can then filter on various places of where the data comes from. You can query it in a much more specific way than saying, maybe I want to look at various kind of things by saying, hey, I want to change the source. I want to change various, kind of actions here. You can see here's the sources. Maybe it's different areas. If you have different data providers, different time scales, all kinds of things. You can even change, let's filter on, look at process pressure loops or flow loops or anything of that nature. So it really is a great feature. But at the same time, you can also create your own graphics on Smart Client. And these are not graphics from 800XA. These are actually graphics that you created in the tool. And we'll go through an example of that. Here's another one with a lot of data and tables on it. Here's another one bringing some data, very crude kind of graphic. Here's another one. You can also take a picture, and so that's a picture of the graphic, and then they drop the various dynamic elements on there, type of stuff. But you can also add your new graphic. So we're going to add a new one. Pick a template of being a graphic and a certain display resolution. And we have now this open palette for which we're going to now add some stuff. So I'm going to show, I always get mixed up. Show my, whoops, I didn't mean to bring that up. I want to bring this up. So there is, these are my tags. And I think this is the, whoops, wrong button. Where is it? I know it's one of these. Oh. There's Control Tab. Good, there was that button there. Sorry. So what I have here is a toolbox, and this is where everything is contained of all the various things that you can drop in a graphic. So I'm just going to browse all and say, we would like to drop a few things, like how about a column chart? We can then size this chart, what have you. We'll come over to here, pick some points off the list, and we just drag and drop the signals right onto there. And you can see it's created a column chart. Wow, that was easy. So let's go to some other things that we may be interested in looking at. So I think we should have a pie chart somewhere in here. There's pie chart. We can then make this bigger. And we can drag those 3 points into that. And we can see the values. What other great toolboxes do we have here that we have available to us? Another interesting one is a ticker that people like, and I think it's called tag ticker. Where is it? There it is, tag ticker. So I can put that at the bottom. I can expand it out because it'll be maybe a lot of values. And now I can drag in there, and those values are going to now ticker tape their way across the display. So now I just simply right mouse click on this, and we go into design mode, and that's what that would look like. And you say, well, I'd like another nice dial. So, okay, let's drop this nice dial in here. Whoops, got to go to design mode first. Drop the dial. Let's make it bigger. I drag it up to here, nice and big. And now I'm going to drag this value in here. And one of the things you notice when I drag that value in there, you see the colors suddenly change from one green to various ones. It's because this point has alarm units associated with it, so it's actually showing those alarm units there. Again, right mouse click, go into this mode, and suddenly I've created a graphic without any training, without any kind of exercise of reading a manual. You can see how very quickly, all you got to learn is where the buttons are to get to this point. And now if I save this point and screen, it's now available for action for you as a user, or you can make it available to all users of your system.
Brad, there are two questions that I didn't see in the chat, but the other question that they asked to us is, in which case do you recommend using smart clients?
Smart clients, what cases? Excellent question. I think the biggest thing with smart client is that it's read-only. So you can give this to all your people other than operators, your supervisors, your engineering, your plant managers. They can all use this to look at the process and do whatever data analysis they need. They can customize it, and you don't have to worry that they're going to change the process because it's read-only. You have another question?
Yes, the other question is, in what version of 800XA can you implement a smart client? There is a specific version?
Great question. So 5.1, 6.0, or 6.1?
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. You can continue.
So that will cover about 10 years of operation of smart clients. So I think that's great. So you can see my graphic is there. I put it there, type of thing. So it's available, and I can save it. The last thing I want to show in Smart Client is, and I'm just going to close this window. It's asking me to save the changes. I'm not going to do any. Is that you can create a Smart Client Excel spreadsheet. Unfortunately, I lost the license of my office, so I can't go in to edit it. But this is a Smart Client access, pulling the live data from the process into Excel. And you can see it's not just live data and it's updating, but it's actually historical data, bringing in trended data in. So you could really do a lot of analysis where you can say, give me all the data for 24 hours, and then, okay, I'm going to do whatever kind of work you wanted to do your report on. So very flexible as a product. And just to show you, all you need to start Smart Client up is this link to it's an Internet Explorer, program files, Internet Explorer type of thing. So you just type the internet address of your Smart Client server or the name of it, however you've got it set up, and it will just automatically start and run. No software loaded. That's the key to Smart Client. No software. Good. So with that completed, we're going to go on to a few other things before we go call it a day. So mobility, movilidad. It's very important to understand that ABB have opportunities to bring in data to your system and do mobile access to your data. There's various things that ABB can provide you. Down at the wireless HART access to bring wireless instrumentation into your system. We have the ability to wirelessly connect your controller network, have controllers connected remotely. But more importantly, as we're talking today about providing access and mobility, is you can provide mobility of users, access to your 800XA to your system, running what we call thin clients to access the data on tablets, phones, and all kinds of technology. So in the traditional 800XA environment that we have this connected world, we want to put an infrastructure over your plant to provide the wireless connectivity to various things, be it your laptop and your phones and your tablets. But you can also do more. You can bring your wireless HART in, and you can bring in other various things, wirelessly, controllers and other data. So, 12 years ago, when I got this 5.1 system installed in a copper mine in Canada, I presented the mobility to them, and they went out and implemented it themselves. Before we had the guidelines, there's an excellent manual in 800XA that talks about how to set your mobility up. But they went out and bought a third-party Netgear wireless device. They went out and bought their own tablet. They bought a Windows 7 PC, Intel 7 core, and they actually loaded 800XA on the tablet. I heard about it, and we had our Automation Power World down in Houston, and so I said, let's do a presentation on it. So we started talking on the phone and talking about their implementation, and we said, well, the implementation you did, it will work, but we recommend not loading 800XA on the tablet. What we recommend is using a remote desktop session. Why would you do that? The most important thing is if the wireless connection gets interrupted, if it's a thin client back of the server, that runs without any effect of that. All it is affecting is you just can't see it. The operation being done in the remote server continues on. Maybe if you're downloading software, a new software revision to the controller, that carries on without you being connected. If you have a remote client, full client, thick client, then you run into risks. But more importantly, the data bandwidth required for remote desktop versus thick client is a lot less. So I made this conversation when we're setting up the presentation, and 3 days later I gave him, we had another meeting, and he says, Brad, I switched to remote desktop, and now I can walk to places in the mill that were problematic. I was losing in and out of communication. Now I can run it a lot better. And I said, yes, because the remote desktop does not take much data compared to 800XA. And the other result is you don't need a Windows 7 PC. You can buy an Android, you can buy an iPad, or you can use a Windows 7 tablet or Surface, but it doesn't have to be a powerful one anymore because all you're doing is remote desktop taking in the window. So you can see him here. He has to go around doing inspections of his plant and make adjustments to the process, because the process they do in copper mine is they got to bubble up the copper, and there's no instrument to measure that, so they have to make manual adjustments. And with the tablet, with his pen, as you can see, he goes around and makes the appropriate adjustments and takes manual readings as well and enters that into the system. The tablet then came back, as you can see here, and connects into the docking station, and then he's got a monitor, and then he's got a keyboard and mouse. So it also becomes an operating station when he's brought the tablet back, which is very powerful. So this is very successful. This was done 12 years ago. Customers have been using it since, putting on all kinds of tablets. In the oil and gas industry, you can get tablets now that are Class 1 Div 2 intrinsically safe. You can do all kinds of great things with it. So, any questions around the mobile operation?
Yes, Brad, I have a question related on the smart client. Is it possible, as you mentioned, to use with Android and Apple operation system in both? Is it possible to do that?
Yes, so that's a very good question. So the problem with smart client is that it needs or Windows Server type of thing. So it can't natively run on a tablet, can't run on a OS like Android or iOS. However, that being said, you can set up a terminal server application on where you can then access the smart client and then use a remote desktop in, and that gets by that that problem of Internet Explorer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the last topic I want to talk about is our new digital connected plant. This coronavirus is really allowing us to start thinking outside the blocks of connecting your plant. But we've been doing this in ABB for over 10 years. Off of the England, the North Sea, we've been doing remote operations and collaborative working for a long time. In the offshore of Canada, we have two platforms, oil platforms, that both now have a fiber link back to land where they have a remote operations center, collaboration center, bringing 800XA directly back to land, allowing operations and maintenance to be done off the platform. Technology is available to allow you to do that, and it's allowing you now with the digitalization to bring more and more data collected together and have this collaborative approach. If you have one plant, okay, it's just one, but if you have many plants in an organization that has many operations in your country or around the world, you can have a collaboration center. And that collaboration center can link to ABB's collaboration center, so we can bring not just your plant to your situation, we can also bring ABB to support you. And here's an example I was talking about. We have off Canada, we have 2-3 control rooms on 300 kilometers offshore, and we have a centralized process operation center where they can support. Not only do they have 800XA there, they have the video conferencing to site, they have the video TV and operations, so it's the complete operation center, just as if you were sitting in the control room on the platform. And when you have that, you have the ability to bring all your data together, be it your visualizations, and you can also then do all your performance monitoring, you can do control, you can do safety maintenance kind of work, you can do it all from one place. This is really big on our cruise ship lines that are being out there, being monitored remotely, but we can also do this with all kinds of operations because the technology has been around for a long time. So what I want to demonstrate today is I'm sitting around Toronto in Canada, in Burlington, that's where my head office is. In our oil and gas center out in Alberta, we have a demo center. And I'm going to remote in to that demo center, and you will see live video and operations of that system remotely.
Brad, I have a question related on the way that you will connect to the remote center. This connection, you will be by VPN or by the intranet? How you can be connected remotely to the center?
That's a great question. So we have different solutions depending on not just the availability of the connection, but also the security and the bandwidth. So sometimes if we have only a platform, it may be satellite data, or sometimes it may be a low speed link, or maybe it's like on the offshore Canada, they put their own fiber in 350 kilometers under the ocean to bring their own dedicated line in. Either way, we can support a secure VPN, secure kind of scenario. If it goes on any kind of public kind of infrastructure, then you worry about how can I even make it more secure. So we have a technology called multi-system integration, which then even puts another layer of protection in there and allows you to provide this very secure infrastructure of connectivity. On the offshore platform or other stuff, when you lay your own cable, then you know it's secure, and now you're just dealing with your own company process. And then you may just extend 800XA to from your plant out to your remote operation center. But as I said, we also support multi-system integration, which allows you to put another layer of security and segregation of that plant network from the remote network. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thanks, Brad. There is another question in the chat that they ask, can users access 800XA Smart Client from their home?
Absolutely. So I am sitting at home today, and I am VP'd into my network. So I have a VPN right here. Where is it? Right there, the Cisco VPN. So I'm connecting to like your plant network if it supports a VPN. And in that, I am connected to my remote desktop and smart client and all those things.
Great, thanks.
Perfect. So I'm going to now start up a remote connection. It's just RDP, remote desktop connection, into our Calgary center. I have, obviously, you can have different layers of password security. I have one to make it easy because we're on ABB's network. And now I am on a client on our system in Calgary. And I have this really nice demo in Calgary, and we're going to have a look at it. So let me just get rid of the window, and I'm going to call up camera 3, and I'm going to look at the live view of camera 3. So this is in the Calgary Demo Center. I have control of it. There's no one in the office because of our stay-home policy, but you can see that I can control the camera. And I'll just say this is an extended operator workplace that I have in here. I have a controller cabinet with I/O. I have some S800 I/O with Profibus I/O. I have a safety control system. I'm sorry, we don't have the best of view. We're in the process of moving and buying more cameras so we can see the equipment a little better. I have a motor and drive, and you can see I have an MCC. We'll just go around for the rest of the camera. See, this is where we do have meetings and demos and presentation. I have a wireless 800XA module there that's connected, and I have a projector, a touchscreen projector on that stuff. But what I want to do is I want to just zoom in on this area right here. It's connected to a blower, and it's got a balloon on it. Huh. And so I have no sound, and I could video conference with people if I had the ability to do that, but I don't have anyone there. But I have this drive efficiency demo that I typically show. And what I do is we'll start the motor as if it was a 100% direct motor, and the balloon will rise up. Then there's a little damper on the motor, and I use it to bring down the balloon down. Then I go over to my drive and say I can affect the speed of the drive, the motor, and not use the damper, and do the same adjustment and show the efficiency of energy savings of using a drive versus a blower with a damper. So I'm going to turn it on, and let's see if we see some action there. I think the balloon's shrunk a bit. You can see now the balloon is moving. Hopefully it'll work. You can see now the balloon is actually floating. If you see the logo on it, it's ABB. So I have full control of this 800XA system. I am connected in Toronto from my house, VP'd into the ABB network, and then connected in. Is this the way your company would be doing it? No, it would be a more secure line, but it shows and illustrates how you can connect your plant and, in this case, have control. You can give certain types of control with 800XA. You can give certain remote users certain access to only view or control only bigger things and not little things, but you can make it such that you can design and operate the system the way you want it. In addition, you can then provide security, as we said, that this could be a public connection, so we can provide remote access security through our multi-system integration software that kind of puts another layer of security of not extending your plant network out of your plant for control and giving you the full access to all your operations. But I'm this kind of demonstration illustrates two things, not just the 800XA, which we've been doing for over 10 years. More importantly, it's the video integration. It's integrated in 800XA into your system. I have cameras that I'm controlling. I can have the cameras alarm, and I can have video conferencing and access to collaborative working between the two sites, where I can send items back and forth between to the operator in Calgary versus myself, by simply using this great feature, and it's called Send To, that I can send what I'm looking at right now, be it a manual, be it a graphic, be it a trend, I can send it to my EOW. I can send it to my iPad user who's walking around the plant. I can send it to anyone. So this is a very powerful feature that 800XA gives you that a lot of people didn't know. It's been there since day one, that I can send what I'm looking at to any user. So you can see my demo stopped, the motor stopped, and the balloon went right back to where it was left. So that's just
a question. Sorry that I interrupt. Some people is asking about how you can communicate the drive. In this case, is a ACS 880 with the 800XA. There is a wireless communication, or is a Ethernet IP, or what we are using to communicate the drive to the 800XA?
And that is a fabulous question, you know, and I love this demo because I love showing field buses. I love showing technology. And so everything on this pod is, and I'm just going to bring up our control builder. So if any users are used to 800XA and stuff, will bring that up. But everything on this pod is Profinet. So I'm using Profinet to talk to the drive, and there's a motor starter, a UMC 100 there. I think I clicked start that up. And so that's there. But I also have other things in this. I have everything. So the MCC is going to use, we just added that. So we're incorporating that in. So it'll have IEC 61850, the electrical power grid. And it will also have Modbus TCP/IP to show that protocol as well. But I also have here Profibus DP to control the AC500 IO and the S800 IO. But I also have instrumentation there, as you can see, that is Profibus PA. There's three of them. Also, this one instrument there is wireless HART. So I have a wireless HART unit, and let's bring that up. Let's close that. And where it is, I think I can see the hub. Let's do the camera. So that green thing right there is the wireless HART hub that talks to this wireless instrumentation and comes into the system. So if we look at my here remote pod, I have, this is all a Profibus instruments coming in. Here's my wireless instrumentation, which I even have a WIMON coming in, a vibration monitor type of stuff, and bringing that in. And do I have my wireless pod? So I have a UMC on that demo rack that's controller. We're talking to the controller wirelessly. Now it's been disconnected because we've moved the demo room around and we haven't set that back up again. But I just wanted to show you, I have my controller. I have Profibus DP, so I have S800 drops. I have AC500 IO drops. I have Modbus TCP, or sorry, I have my analog DPA instrumentation. I have Modbus coming in, and so I have, we talked to a switchgear relay out in the lobby, and I also talk to my wireless HART gateway. And what else? I have my Profinet, so I have my PNQ, which would be a UMC 100. It talks to something, and then I talk to my my drive, the ACS 880, coming in all into one system. I have Ethernet IP, so I also have two motor starters on my Ethernet IP, and device net, so I'm using a converter down to device net, and got a UMC22 and an E+ Allen Bradley starter. So I have everything in the kitchen sink talking protocols. I hope that answers your question.
So I see that you are showing right now that one of the benefits and add value of the 800XA platform is that you have different communications cards on different devices on a different level. It's an open platform that help to communicate with third-party vendors that will help to integrate the complete plan that the customers are looking for. Thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to highlight two important things. Notice that when I'm looking at Profibus and in my S800 IO, it's as its normal IO. So everything's seen as an object, as a normal IO object. There's no special customization to make it kind of bring in. It brings in the stuff. And when we go Profinet, these are standard pumps, UMCs and drives. You just bring it in and bring the data, and you run the motor and drive as if you would if it came in hardwired. But the benefit that it comes in when it's not hardwired is you get more data. You get a whole bunch of data. This data set here, drive status information, is a whole set of information on that drive. So when we look at the electrical pod, here, the diagnostic data that comes up with this is rich in data. That's all from that one bit word of data that comes up and gets you to tell you, hey, why did this stop? Oh, it was an earth fault, it's a communication fault, there's an encoder problem, whatever it may be. The diagnostic data with a UMC motor starter. Why did that stop? What brought, you can look at it, says, oh, runtime exceeded, maybe there was a PTZC temperature, maybe current didn't come back, all kinds of information coming back from that diagnostic bit. We also have this IEC pod, and this is a switchgear out in the lobby of the building. And normally the video is working, but that was disconnected, but we'll be reconnecting it back. That video camera there looks right in there, and I can remotely open and close that switchgear. And if I had my video working, I would show you. But sorry, it was turned off now, and it's hard to get fixed because people aren't in the office anymore.